almost 60% of Americans feel that Donald Trump should be criminally charged for what he did. And January 6th was just the least of it. It was really trying to orchestrate a coup because he knew what was going on. So the question is, should he?
I believe no. I think I took a look at this poll, this 60% poll, and I checked the methodology. And then I also checked the same outlet, ABC News, did the same polling, months ago, like right after January 6th and then today. And the difference is actually within the margin of error. So there's actually been no change then versus today, which I think is important to note, despite millions of dollars spent, billions of dollars in media coverage, that the needle has not changed in terms of how the American people feel about this. And Democrats would be smart if they were to realize also that poll found that only 9% of Americans are closely following this case. Now, I think that the question as to Trump and whether we should continue this partisan circus that you and I disagree about, I think the answer is decisively no. I think, again, if you look at the phrasing of the question, the way that the question is phrased, it's a very leading question. It basically posits and basically frames up that Trump was the one who caused this, the way that the question is phrased. And so if you phrase a question like that, I think it's a logical conclusion. Most people would agree with that. But then the fact that 91% of people haven't been closely following it, so why would they have an accurate read on what actually should happen if they aren't even closely following it and you're giving them garbage biased questions? I think that that's a logical conclusion you're going to get. Garbage in, garbage out. That's how polling works. But the truth is, though, that people don't care about this issue. When you look at the issues that matter to people, it is not anywhere in the top. People care about the economy. They care about inflation. They care about what's happening with baby formula shortages. They care about energy. They care about things that matter to them in their day-to-day lives. And so, partisan witch hunts, because again, here's the thing, even if let's say hypothetical, Trump were to be charged with this, who would be overseeing it? Oh yeah, a Democrat, Merrick Garland. So this would just be more contentious, feuding back and forth. And I think that the best solution is just let the ballot box speak for itself. Whether Trump, whether the people actually will resoundingly reject this at the ballot box, I think that's the best test of all of this. And so, yeah, I think that's where things are. And I think if you were to ask a similar question, again, phrased in a certain way, whether Hillary Clinton should be criminally charged for what she did in 2016.
Oh God, here we go.
Again, here we go. It's the same thing. It's very similar in terms of what Hillary Clinton did to manufacture an investigation and lead the FBI.
Here we go with the false
equivalency.
This is a false non-equivalency. It's not even a false equivalency. It's, as I see, you coined a new term in your Trumpism defense, false non-equivalency. Again, this is the same thing you said. Oh, Terry McAuliffe said that the election shouldn't be counted. Jamie Raskin said, yeah, these are people that made offhanded comments. They didn't try to orchestrate a coup. They didn't present false electors. They didn't gin up an insurrection. They weren't the first candidate in the history of our republic who was such a narcissistic person. He couldn't handle losing, and he just rejected the result of an election. As Mitch McConnell says, when the loser of an election doesn't respect the outcome, our democracy goes into a death spiral. And that's what's at the risk of happening right now. And that's why I am so torn, because Democratic policies have not been good. Some of them I support, and there's some good stuff that's gestating in some of these laboratories out of the states that is coming out. Okay, but I will say that when you look at the most important thing, it's our democracy. And you look at some of these candidates that are being nominated, and right now, being a rhino, all right, that ad that Eric Greitens ran in Missouri, basically a rhino means you don't buy into the big lie. And that's where today's Republican Party is. And that's why it cannot be trusted with governing. And that's why I think a message has to be sent that we cannot handle this type of behavior and that people cannot do this and get away with it. And because let's face it, in 2024, do you think this isn't going to happen again? Trump, if he lost in 2016, he was laying the groundwork. I mean, he didn't even accept that Ted Cruz won the Iowa primary. He didn't even accept that Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. I mean, the man is so detached from reality, he's never accepted even like defeats within a victory. Can you at least acknowledge that?
I acknowledge I don't like that ad that Eric Reins made. He shouldn't have made that ad.
No, let's talk about Trump. I mean, Trump wouldn't even acknowledge that Hillary won the popular vote. Remember, it was millions of Latinos voted illegally. I mean, can you at least admit what a joke that is? I mean, that shows, to me, that's so indicative.
Yeah, I mean, the man's a showman at the end of the day. That's his background, his heritage. He is
showman.
He's a card-carrying member of the Screen Actors Guild. He was in WWE for a long time. WWE is, a lot of it is fantasy acting. So he knows how to pull in drama into what he's saying. But the thing is, politicians make all sorts of statements that are not true and are bogus or are exaggerations. And that's the truth. So,
oh, come on.
Yeah.
Noah, has there ever been, yes or no, has there ever been another candidate who has not accepted the outcome of a presidential election? Hillary Clinton, she called Trump the night of the election and conceded. Okay? The night of the election.
She still says...
No.
Yeah, and then she went on to spend...
No. She officially conceded. Don't try to spin it. She officially conceded, okay? Has there ever been another candidate who has not officially conceded?
She has walked that back so many times. And she even said in 2020...
She conceded
She said
him.
whoever the Democrat... She said whoever is the Democrat nominee should not concede. She said that.
Would be stronger if every once in a while you would acknowledge that what the man did, okay? Fact. No one else has ever not conceded an election. Hillary Clinton did it. Al Gore did it, okay? All these people eventually, when they saw the light at the end of the tunnel, they conceded. Trump did not. And then has anyone else tried to put forward false electors? Has everyone, to me, okay, let me just go back because it's a very important conversation. I would not, if I were Merrick Garland, I would not charge Trump on the sedition because I think it's very contentious, it's ambiguous, and it's a very hard charge to put through. You may recall that those people who threatened to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan, they thought that was a slam dunk case and they were acquitted. So it's very hard to do. Where I would go after him is in Georgia. I mean, he is on tape so blatantly saying, find me these votes, change the election. And by the way, a side note to all you pussy Republicans who think you have to support the big lie, look at Georgia. No, you don't. Trumpism was repudiated 110% by that empty suit David Perdue, who ironically lost his Senate seat because of Trump, and Jody Hice, who tried to run against Brad Raffensperger. People in Georgia have moved on. So will you guys stop being such wimps and get past the cult of personality and focus on governing?